Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Dolittle. I think there are movies that are kind of bad that are enjoyable to watch, and then there's Dolittle, which isn't even sort of semi-competent. I'd say it's probably one of the least competent Hollywood films I may have ever seen. It's just really badly made, really terribly acted from Robert Downey Jr., and this is a star vehicle for him that he produced that was edited around his performance, which is really awful, and it's just nearly unwatchable. And there's not many big Hollywood productions that are this just bad, 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 and Dolittle is absolutely one of them. Now, the story is like the story of Dr. Dolittle. You know, he can talk to animals and crap, and then he is tasked by the Queen of England to help her because she's dying, so he has to find this plant which no one's ever found, but he's gonna find it where his wife died trying to find this thing or whatever. He goes on this journey with all his animals who can talk, which are of course voiced by celebrities, and then he goes on this journey and all that. Yeah, that's basically it. I was quite shocked at how bad this movie was. I'm also surprised because Dr. Dolittle was a famous bomb in the 60s, and why anyone would think to remake it in a way similar to that and not in a way similar to the Eddie Murphy one, which made money. Regardless of the quality of that, it seems a little weird. Why would you want to do that? I don't understand. Why would you? Whatever. It seems so wrong-headed on so many levels. And then it's but Robert Downey Jr., who I find to be a really charismatic actor, and one who I think, needs to make a film where he's not playing Iron Man that's good and that people will see. That's not like Sherlock Holmes, which I think the second one came out in 2012 or 2013. I'm not even gonna look because I don't care. I didn't even see the second one. And then his only solo post Iron Man films have been Due Date and The Judge. I know I said The Judge. And then this made Due Date's the best one, which is embarrassing. And now we have this, and The Judge was bad. This was bad. I don't know why people let him produce things. I mean, he's pretty much famous for being Tony Stark, and I get that. But then in this, he's trying to be an actor again. And instead of doing just a clone of Iron Man, which to be honest, I think this guy and Universal Studio released it, probably just need him to do at this point, he decides to do this weird, what he calls a Welsh accent, but I'm not sure if it is or isn't. I don't know what that was that he was doing, but it felt like the movie's embarrassed that they have this terrible performance, and he's whisper. It's so bad, and his English accent when he does that is pretty embarrassing, but this is another level awful, and it's probably the worst I've ever seen him in a movie. I totally forget I liked him in a movie that came out Endgame was not even a year ago. I mean, it's maybe 9 months something, but it was it wasn't that long ago, and I'm already is this even the same actor? He had one of his big exits in film history, and then we get to Dolittle, and he's just so flubbing this up. I mean, they had to have reshoots from the director of Lego Batman and to help come in and try to save this and make it funnier. I mean, in some ways you can tell it was reshot and reconfigured, but then they didn't really edit it that well because they'll leave in parts that re-explain things. They explain here's his backstory in this animated intro, and then during the movie they'll convey all that information it's new information again, and that happens a lot. Someone will make a joke and then someone will say the same info we haven't heard it. So it felt like they should have cut this movie down, and instead of even edit a YouTube video, you go through it again just to make sure is everything right, I didn't leave it, did I mistakenly leave something in, or is there an error or something? And it felt like they were just so done with this. They're this edit is fine, this is just whatever, and they just let it go to to a certain degree. There are certain actors in it Michael Sheen and Antonio Banderas who sort of get what the tone of this is, and are actors who are kind of reliably decent or good in any kind of small character role. They can do that. Antonio Banderas is wow, this is what charisma looks like. I've been starved of it while watching this movie that's supposed to act like it is. Michael Sheen gets the kind of performance you would need from this movie, and this movie is trying to push this is a family movie and it's funny and all this crap. And then you like look at Robert Downey Jr. and he's like, I'm doing like a different thing, guys. You don't even get my wavelength. And I'm like, we don't, because your wavelength is dumb and wrong for this kind of movie. It is not right. It does not work for this kind of film. I do not know what he's thinking about doing something like this. Like it's just so bad. And then there's like the whole plot line of this doesn't make sense. And he's like trying to save the queen, and then celebrities are doing like the voices of like Kumail Nanjiani's an ostrich, John Cena is a polar bear. He doesn't like operate on that many animals, to be honest. Like that's the one thing, like animals do come up, but it feels like he's just like interacting with weird character actor humans that he could definitely get, because this movie had high enough of a budget to like afford so many, which is like embarrassing kind of, because you'd think like people would stay away from a production this bad, but they probably thought it was going to do well because Robert Downey Jr. is involved, even though that doesn't make any sense, but they were. And from him having to deal with a tiger, which that didn't really work with his skills, like then the animals get involved, and then he's like in a dragon's butt in the end and like is pulling armor and bones out of it, and then the dragon like farts really bad, and then he pulls out bagpipes out of its butt. Like, I don't even care if I'm spoiling stuff, because that's like the only notable part. Oh, and then John Cena says teamwork makes the dream work right after a dragon farted in Robert Downey Jr.'s face and bagpipes came out of a dragon's butt. That's a real thing that happened, and it definitely made the movie better. I will say that. Whoever pitched that, I applaud them, because that is the only thing I will remember other than Antonio Banderas from this awful movie. And then there are characters who, like, there's a squirrel that Will Arnett plays that I'm, like, convinced they, like, somehow found a way to edit to look like him and Robert Downey Jr. could, like, interact with one another, but it's, like, such a reshoot. I mean, this one was so reshot to death, and you can tell, and it's cut in weird ways that, like, the flow is, like, all over the place. Like, sometimes you watch these, like, abandoned, horrible kind of movies. These, like, kind of, like, messed with studio films, and you can't even get like sure like where it's going and like what's the deal with this and like where is this, and like I don't even know where I was most of the time, and like they would kind of like not introduce things correctly, and then you get hints that like this was probably a larger scene but it wasn't working, so you only get a bit of it, but you're like, this is a huge set piece, why would you cut around that? And like it just feels very off. Like this film just doesn't really work on any fathomable imagination. Like there's no fathomable imagination where this film works at all. Like no one's gonna be a fan of this. It's not like Cats. Like Cats was like a bad movie that was like fun to watch. This is a bad movie that you just want to turn off, because it's just like, what is even going on? Like what was the motivation? It feels like no one knew except Robert Downey Jr., and what he did know was just like not what Dr. Dolittle should be. You have to be really bad. When the whole time I was watching this, I felt like Chris Columbus should have come in and sorted this mess out and made an enjoyable, like kind of like saccharine, decent enough kind of family film. Like that's what they wanted. That's really what this film should have been. And instead he has like the guy who directed Syriana directing it, who clearly like none of the CG really works with what's going on, and it feels very like badly placed in. People like completely out of their element. And you know, I understand like you get kind of like weirder kind of family films when you get a different kind of director, and hell, I love Where the Wild Things Are, but that understood its whole thesis and its theory, and Dolittle is just like, this would be so interesting if we made Dolittle with this awful Welsh accent or whatever it is, and like these characters like this, and how to take place. It's like, I just don't know what they're thinking, and I don't know how any of this is supposed to be like entertaining or work for anybody. It just feels like just a mess of like a huge budgeted kind of big fantasy film. Everything that's awful about those kind of things, everything you didn't like, and then it's awkwardly cut up, and then I mean, wow, it's really bad. It's interesting when I just saw it and I was like, man, I think this is even worse than movies I've seen in other years. Like maybe I should correct my other worst lists to put this at number one, because it's just like unfathomably bad. Like it is so bad. It is like, it was hard to stay awake during parts of it. It was hard to be interested in it. It was just such a come down of a movie. And come down, not that I'd seen something before, come down in terms of like, I think like, you know, staring at my feet was a better experience. I think middle school for me was a better experience than this movie. I didn't like middle school. There's so many things I can think of that are much more interesting in this movie, because it is potentially one of the least interesting movies I have ever seen, because it does not even want to be interesting, while at the same time it's made and its whole structure to be a family film is a film to keep the weakest attention spans to pay attention constantly, and this film can't even do that for me as an adult. It like fails on so many like basic levels. It's like watching someone fall down a flight of stairs and then they fall down another flight of stairs, and then you were like, there's another flight of stairs there, and you're like, this is just impressive that you just keep falling forever and ever. Your arms are definitely broken, and this is horrific to watch, and I wish someone would just put this out of its misery, but I'm just gonna like continue to sit here, and what's wrong with me? Why am I doing this? Like, why don't I go down and help them? But then I gotta walk down the stairs, and that's too much, so I'm just gonna take a nap. And then you take a nap and you come back and you're like, oh my god, they're still falling down the stairs, and like, what building is this that I get this clear view of this person falling? Anyway, the metaphor is this is a horrible movie. It both feels like irresponsible in terms of finances and just bad screenwriting, and a star that doesn't really know what he wants with the persona. Robert Downey Jr. should just be doing simple, like, slam dunk star vehicles. Even when he does that, like, the Judge was really miscalculated. I don't know how any studio after the Judge thought he would be a good idea. I mean, it's a different studio, which makes sense, but this is, whoa. Everything you heard about this production, how much of a mess it was. I mean, there's parts where, like, you see him messing with the door, like, should he leave and stuff, that I was like, I think this movie's trying to have a character moment in a jumbled mess of this movie. Like, I sort of applaud it for, like, keeping it in, because I'm sure Robert Downey was like, let's keep that in. That's, like, a real smart moment. That's the part the audience it'll really hit them. But you're also like, this is not even a great character moment, and like, it doesn't really come back that he's nervous, and like, it doesn't even really work. It shows that you can act with the fucking door, man. That's cool. But like, if that was your point in the whole movie, to show people like, hey, he can still do it, I do not think this film did that. I think this film kind of makes me almost be like, oh, he's done. He's not going to be an actor. He's not going to be a movie star. This is it. He just wanted to torpedo his way through it, and not even in an interesting way, in just a bad, horrible way that I could tell. Even, I knew the studio wasn't happy with this film, but watching this film, I was not happy watching this film at all. And I don't see how anyone could ever be happy with something like this abomination of whatever this is. This is a sad excuse for a film. And I don't even know if you really call it a complete or competent filmmaking. I would just call it just a bunch of images that sort of made a story, kinda, and had some jokes in it, I guess, from celebrities. And that's as best as I could describe Dolittle, because that's all it is. Just a random assortment of crap with Robert Downey Jr. mumbling his ass through it, and then you leave and you get farted on by a dragon. And that's Dolittle. So if you've seen Dolittle and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.